Hi guys, today is going to be a good one. We're going to be retrimming and refurbishing the dash in our Defender 110. So I just thought this would be a really good video for you guys because you can source the material yourself if you want to, or you can go ahead and buy the material from LR Parts. We're doing them in leather and in the faux leather. So the faux leather is what we've got on our seat, so that's what I'm going to be trimming it in. So that should be a lot cheaper. We've got two vent covers here, which are just two little Torx, I think. No, they're just Phillips heads. And we've got three main screws, big chunky ones in there, so it's super easy to do. Now I've obviously said this a million times in the past, but this is the tool for the job, this little mini ratchet, because you've got your windscreen in the way. It's very difficult to get a screwdriver at the right angle down on these screws, but if you've got one of these little mini ratchets, it's super easy. So that's all we're removing, just a piece of trim like that. They've got a very coarse thread on them, so they do come out pretty quick. There we go, big old screws. So removing the handle at the other end of the dash, you just literally pop this logo cap off, and there's a major screw behind there. That's the big one that you need to remove, but there's also just a little one in here. So remove that, it's a countersunk that sits in, and then you've got two prongs that sit in here and go into the lower dash. You just literally pull it out and it's gone. We've just loosened this off now, so we've removed the screws here, on the side here. And that then just comes out. It's still attached at the bottom. It's just got a little groove that sits in, which we can undo. And then you've got your dash top. So this literally just lifts up. And this is the extrusion piece that I was talking about that sits into the end caps. But we can just literally pull our panel out. Because we're doing this as a prototype, we've actually got a whole roll of this material, but if you buy it from LR Parts, you'll get a piece cut exactly to size with a little bit of extra, so you can just trim it straight on. There's no need to measure up. So we want to be trimming this sort of, you know, about 15 mil away from the bottom. You could mark it with a pen. So this is a little bit like a scrim foam. You could almost trim your headliner with this stuff. On the end of this dash trim, you have got these extrusions which lock into the end covers on your dash. So you don't want a lot of material on there. Ideally, you want the material to go on there, but just to trim out, not fold round the end. It just wants to stop sort of about 5 mil away from the edge. Right, so fold your piece of material in half and do it to the trimmed edge, so not the foam but the actual leatherette end. Don't crease it, but just give yourself a little mark like that, so you know that is the center of your piece of trim. We then place our dash trim in the center of that material, so we've got a little hole here in the middle, so we know we can line it up on that, and we just want to pull it back enough so that we can get this edge over, as I said before, by about 10 to 12 mil. Now if you buy your kit from LR Parts or you get your own material, you're going to have to get your own adhesive spray, contact adhesive. This is the best stuff that you can get. You can go to any camper van supplier and just buy it, obviously, because they sell a lot of it to line camper van interiors. You can get it from Screwfix. It's pretty simple stuff, but you just want a bonding adhesive spray for material. And the idea with this is you want to spray it on both surfaces and let it cure for at least a minute. You want to be as tacky as possible so that it bonds and binds as soon as it touches. But you have got to commit. So we don't want to be doing this lots of times, because if you do it too many times and you have to readjust it, you're going to start getting lumps of glue showing through the fabric. I've been playing around with this piece of material and I found the best thing that we're going to be able to do is to do the whole of the front edge first. We get that stuck on and then we can start pulling it. So make sure it's nice and clean. Get your glue on that top edge. And then on the material itself. And like I say, I've done this a couple of times already, just playing around with this material, but I think this is going to be the best way. So I've lined up the dash top with my center mark there, and I've made sure I've got enough to peel over the edge. When we're done, you need at least 15 mil there. So as long as you position it correctly, you should be absolutely fine. So now we're ready just to roll it onto the material itself. So make sure if your table's not quite long enough, you just pull it up. And that's all we want to do, is just that front edge. Okay, and then just make sure it's nicely pressed in. But with your front edge done, when you can just start working at pulling the material onto it and around it and shape it. So that's still sticking from last time. Let's just move that off. Okay, we want to be now gluing this top face. We're going to do the whole lot, and what we're going to do is actually pull this area here a little bit to actually go into here and stretch it in. So again, all across, and also on this piece here. Then just rotate it up, and we want to be putting some glue on the underside of here, where we're going to be folding it back. Give it a good pull, and make sure it's tight. It will give, and then just keep pressure on it as you pull it down over. And you can see it's pulling, that's because we've got some stretch on there, that's okay. And just get it underneath. So keep working it with your fingers, keep pinching it down into place, and eventually that'll stay on its own. So I think you can see, look, the shape there, hopefully. We'll get a close-up when it's done. So I'm going to be spraying this. Now just be careful you don't spray your new material. Three passes. And you do have to do it right to the edge, because that's going to go over the lip. Now while that's curing, we just want to then do this inside face for where we roll it over. And make sure you got the top edge. Very important. Now I was saying earlier, if you have got any gouges out of your dash, if it's cracked, all you need to do is just get a blade and just take off all the peeled excess. Really work it as if you're almost sort of filling a dent on your car. You want to be basically creating a little V gully where the material is split, and then you can then go ahead and just spray some expanding foam on there. Or you could use filler, to be fair, it's a very small crack, but I find that expanding foam is really good. Just spray it on, let it go hard over a few hours, and then you can then trim it with a blade again just to fill that gap. And then when you roll the material over it, you will not see it at all. So we're ready now just to roll it back. And this is the bit that you're going to see. So you want to make sure that it's good. Now, what we need to do is just create some relief here now, because this section here is going to be covered by our channels. So get yourself a blade. Don't go too close. You want to be about 1 centimetre away from the corner. Like that. I've got a little bit too much material here, so I'm just going to trim some of this off. Like that. So we've made a little relief cut, look, about 1 centimetre, 10 mil from the corner on both sides. You can see there. Get your fingers and run it into that recess first. Then we're going to fold this edge over. Like that. Now for this piece here, we really want 2 points. So let's create 2 points. We'll pull that piece down there. That piece down there. Pull that one down first. Only just giving ourselves enough trim there, look. Now we've got a little bit hanging out. Don't worry about that, we'll clean that up in a moment. Right. So we're going to pull this This bit we don't want, so that can just stay where it is. This is the bit we want to lose. So we're just going to get our knife, without cutting ourselves again, just trim that back. So we puckered the corner up and then we just trimmed off the excess. One thing you don't want to do is expose this corner. You want to keep that corner nicely covered. So again, on this one, look, you can see, and there. Do it whichever way you feel comfortable, but it's pretty easy to do. And you can see we've just maintained our corner in here. So this is a pretty easy bit. We basically just want to trim off all the excess at the end here. Okay, so we've managed to trim the whole dash. It's looking nice. It's got a little bit of blood on it. Don't worry about that. But this is, you know, you can keep running your hands on it to get it nice and smooth. Make sure all the contact's there. Now, if you want to put your ashtray back in, you just need to put an X cut in here, but don't go too close to the corners. Stay about 5mm from each corner, and then you can peel that back over here, and then when you put your ashtray back in, it will cover up anything. It will look fine. But you can see there that the material is nice and thick. You can't even see it's there. Now the last thing we need to do is put our holes in the material, obviously for where we're going to be mounting it back into the dash. And there's one really nice way of doing this. Don't be tempted just to stick a pick through it. That does work, but you might find this little trick is a bit easier. So find where your hole is and get yourself a Phillips screwdriver. Just pop it in and twist it, and it will create a nice little hole just where you want it. This works on leather as well, but you have to rotate it a few more times just to get some heat on the leather. Now you do actually have 2 additional screws that go from the underneath of the dash in here. So what I just showed you on the dash, you just need to put a couple more holes in your top. I've just used a slightly smaller screwdriver for this one, but Phillips again, and make sure you go through both, so not only the top piece but the bit underneath as well. There we go. Right, so when you put your dash on, you want to make sure that you clip it over this lip here, so don't forget to do that. It probably is easier to do these main ones first. So push it in. Now you've got to be super careful here, because go nice and slow, because you don't want to tear the fabric, and don't go down too much. So if you go too far, you're going to burn the material, or you're going to split the material. So you just want to go nice and gentle. At the end of the day, you just want to locate it. There we go. You can just see we've just gone in there. So our vents are pretty good. If yours are a little bit tired, a bit faded, you can always just dust them with just a satin black aerosol. That will freshen them up nicely. And then we just put them back into place. So like I say, you want to go fairly hard on these, because it will pull the material down nicely. And ideally you want these to be sitting flush with the actual material. So that looks really nice. That's all pulled in nicely there. You can just see the way the edge is caught. Well, I've been wanting to do this dash trim for a long time, but it's just been a case of waiting for the right material, getting it sorted out with the supplier, and now I think we're on track to offer this as a product that you guys can do yourselves. You've seen the video, you've seen how easy it is to do it. As long as you do it in a pretty methodical step-by-step process, you can't really go wrong. And I just think that it changes the dash enough to make it look a little bit tidy, a little bit cleaner, but also adds a little bit of luxury to the vehicle, so it is got that nice soft touch to it. But ultimately, if you just want to restore or refurbish an existing tatty dash trim piece, that this is definitely the way to go forward, because don't stress about doing major repairs to it. If you've got cracks, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is, just like I said before, fill those cracks with either some body filler, or what I would use is some expanding foam. I like the way we've managed to retain the shape of the dash. This will work both on left-hand and right-hand drive vehicles, so you haven't got to worry there at all. But yeah, hopefully that's a little bit of a guide to give you some confidence to know that you can do this yourself. It's not a hugely difficult job, and the fact that this is less than 30 quid for a full refurb and refurbishment of your dash trim is an absolute bargain. Now, LR Parts do also offer this in leather, which I did mention before, and the leather gives a little bit of a tighter finish, so you have to stretch that leather a little bit more over these edges because it's not got that forgiving scrim foam underneath. So that's probably one for the more skilled of you who have tried and done a few trim things yourselves. But again, it's not hard to do. Just take your time, be methodical, stretch that material, give it enough time to tack and to bond, and then you've got a really good solid base to work from to get it nice and tight. And as I said before, you haven't got to go mad with these bits because you're covering it up with this trim. Everything just is in your favor really to make this look as good as it is. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have, please do give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. We've got lots more videos coming through. I've been frantically videoing different things, both on the Range Rover, on the Discovery 3 and on the Defender. So there's loads coming out, and yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one.